maintaining that goddamn lie they live inside of the church. I am not going to help them with that. As I am Methodist, I am part of our story too, whether they like it or not, and they ain't getting rid of me as part of our story. Although I'm atheist, I am still Methodist, no less than Jesus ever stopped being a Jew because of the first 18 years of my life. And we must first be introduced to God before we even be aware of Him. As I was practically born into the First United Methodist Church in Prescott, Arkansas, the same church my dad was born into and raised, had no use for. Once he got done with his military career, he came back to his hometown and started practice, and then I came along later. But not until I found out an important piece of information. Mother, do you not realize this was a phone conversation again? I'm only humoring her because she insists on I talk to her. Remember what I had at the beginning of this? Or if, like my mother, having to hang up on her repeatedly because she won't stop calling me word her son will die and no one would know if she didn't. And, it could be 2 or 3 weeks before anybody finds me dead in here. I don't think, that doesn't bother me at all. It's my cat. I'm down to one cat, human psychology to keep the church from bleeding members. It's already a dying congregation in America, at least anyway. Though it's still just nothing but a preacher, literature. It's still just literature, one goddamn useless book with enough training in human psychology to sound like a professional quack, Now my dad was a good doctor. People loved him. I felt like he was a good doctor. He knew what he was talking about. There was no doubt about that. But what I felt, I felt nothing like that when I graduated from veterinary school. And again, they kept stressing, now I learned the hard way after years later, why they kept saying, you have the right to choose your client. You have the right to choose your client. Not our patient, our client. Our client. There's a big difference in veterinary medicine between client and patient. We don't have, we can choose, in other words, we can we have to continue learning big time on our own, and we just going to start off small, what we're comfortable with, and we ease our way into it at our own pace. And if we're uncomfortable, we first, then whatever. We have the right to choose our own client. And I think my honesty, in fact, the first veterinarian I went to work for at vet school, Dr. Darrell, Bird Road Animal Hospital, Miami, Florida. And how I got that job is interesting. I think I just a fluke. There's Dr. Harrelson was one of the old doctors in Prescott. They had a daughter who married a man who came up with some kind of, he did something with those dinner trays that they served on airplanes and became filthy rich. Anyway, this doctor's daughter from Prescott married a man who got filthy rich, big time rich. They live in Miami, Florida. And one of the kids, these kids would come up to Prescott, with their grandfather, and the grandmother would bring these kids to the country club that we were also members of. Not the Methodist country club, remember? And one of those kids was in this, he's well known for being in this, I think a peanut butter commercial. I forgot, Gypsy, on the kid. But they're rich. Well, somehow, this grandmother, wife of one of my dad's peers, put a bug in Dr. Darrell and her family, her extended family in Miami, who put the bug in their veterinarian, Dr. Darrell, and that's how I got the job. And basically, Dr. Darrell went to work on me immediately, trying to change everything. Flip on his head everything I learned in veterinary school. And basically his philosophy was, you do not treat the pet, you treat the client. Now, why is the client here? Because the dog, why